Welcome to the Being Healed podcast. This week I am excited to have another fellow girl mom on the podcast. She is a mother, wife, sister, and our church secretary to what I would say probably is the most difficult pastor to keep track of, my father. So welcome to the podcast, Jocelyn.
Thank you for having me. I am delighted to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. And, you know, when I was first thinking about people to have on the pod, I was reminded of our first conversation at Starbucks. And I was like, it was just so good. And I was like, man, I really got to have her on. I think it was really cool to just get to know each other during that time. Way, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I got to have her on the pod. And I have to know the secret of how she deals with my dad. So I'm excited. It'll be a good conversation. Yeah. I kind of usually just jump right in.
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So one thing I always start off with for everybody is just want to know a little bit of your background. So how would you describe growing up for you?
Growing up for me, I want to say my childhood was very family oriented. We grew up in California. Very healthy marriage too, very healthy upbringing. We're three sisters, so there was always this desire for like, hey, we're little brother, or mm-hmm. But my dad's like, I got a house full of women.
Yes, like I'm good.
So yeah, I want to say overall, very healthy upbringing until the age of 11 when my mother passed, and that's when things just completely shifted for me.
So were you still in Cali, or how did you end up here?
Well, of course, expenses of living in California were just
astronomical.
Yes, like we lived in an apartment with 3-4 other families. Like it was our family, but we were on this teeny tiny apartment with 4 other of my cousins and my uncles. So we were crammed. Yeah. But as a child, I don't even remember it that way. It was just like always having fun, always having family around. Like I wouldn't have noticed a thing of the struggle, because of that that family home life dedication that my parents had. And then I have no idea where we got to Wisconsin from. California? Yeah. I have that question for like the rest of my life. Like, why did we migrate to Wisconsin of all places?
Seriously, there were other options.
Yes, and now I love Wisconsin. I'm like, I consider myself a Wisconsinite. So I'm happy they did it. I don't know why at the time, but I'm happy. But it happened here once we were already in Wisconsin.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So when did you move here? Like what age?
I was maybe like 7.
Okay.
7 or 8.
So you do remember like the move?
Slightly, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to say a lot of that time, it's just still bits and pieces. Yeah. I don't remember much of it, but what I remember it being this warm, positive
good
environment.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Wisconsin's a different place coming from California.
Yes.
All the warmth. And
don't miss the earthquakes for sure. Oh, and since living here, I don't think I've ever experienced a tornado or... Yeah. So I'm like, I'm grateful. I
don't think I've experienced a tornado. It's a different story.
Yeah, and it would be at random. Especially a little kid. Like, you're not watching the news all the time or not really.
How would you know?
When you can predict it. So it would just be... You just see picture frames falling and...
No. Being in the Midwest is a blessing. Yeah. We get all 4 seasons, which... I haven't decided if that's a blessing yet or not. But natural disasters are minimal. Yeah.
The only thing I would say maybe I missed, but not even to too much of extent because I still experience here, we have the lake, so we still get to, if we want that water experience. Yeah. But we lived near Venice Beach when we were in California. So every Sunday we would be over there at the pier. The scene that you see in movies, we would be, they would take us there as... growing up, that's probably the one thing that I do miss is just spending our family time there at the pier. But I'm like, I still get to experience it here.
We are blessed to have a lake that feels as big as.
Yes.
Like it is not a small lake.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's so cool. I forgot you moved from California.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Mm-hmm. So, how old were you when you met your hubby?
17, 16. Met in high school. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Same school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And were you there first, or was he there?
Mm-hmm. So he was there first.
Okay.
I went to Hamilton High School 1 year. And my dad, even if you ask him to this day, he's like, whatever free public school is out there,
Period.
Wherever the district put us, he's like, I don't even remember electing the schools for you guys.
That's hilarious.
I was like, well, that's great, Dad.
Yeah.
Thanks. So we
Thanks
just
for
had to,
really researching that out.
Figure out our commute. And then turns out, I don't even know how I got from Hamilton to South Division, but I got there my sophomore year. And again, just another, okay, how did I end up here? Okay,
right.
We're just going to make the best of it. I have no idea. But he was already there. Like most of his family, that was the nearest school.
Okay, so you went to South Division too.
Yeah.
So you have this theme as I don't know how I got here, but
yeah,
I'm here.
Exactly. And now I'm just gonna figure it out and make the most of it.
God knew each time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like you seem to be involved in it each time.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of God, were you guys religious growing up?
In a traditional sense, yes.
Okay.
We were. But in terms of it was just more routine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes, growing up. So I did do like catechism.
I was gonna say more Catholic.
Catholic oriented. Yes. So I did go through all of that.
Mm-hmm. But it does kind of give you a nice root, to like being aware of who God is, right?
Yes.
So when I was thinking of questions to ask you, I was like, I can't visualize you and Danny without Belzy because she's just, she's great. And it's funny too, because I'm like, every Sunday, I was just telling someone, I'm like, yeah, I have no idea where my daughter is most Sundays. I just look at Belzy and my daughter's around there somewhere, like she loves her. Gothy loves Belzy, and she'll go through my phone and see pictures and Belzy, she'll name her every time, and she'll just stare at the pictures. And so I'm like, man, like Belzy already, she has an influence, and it's a good influence. She's very sweet, very calm, very patient. I feel so bad for her most days. I'm always just like, Belzy, you don't have to watch her. Like, it's okay. You don't have to. And she's like, no, because she's going to run away. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, someone's got to watch her then, like she's very motherly. She's
very nurturing.
Yes. Very nurturing. And I'm always just like, how did Jocelyn do that? I'm
so thankful that she has that. And thank you for sharing that, because growing up for most of my life without my mother, that's the one piece that I want her to carry with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. It's like second nature for her, which is a testament to you guys as parents, because it being second nature for her, that means that was the environment that she grew up in. Like in order for it to be second nature, it has to be something that she's used to herself. So even without your mom being here, with you being a parent, you've still created that environment. I'm just trying to figure it out. I look to you in that way, because it's very much like, man, and my uncle always says, you don't know, and I mentioned this in the podcast with Rosie, like, you don't know if you're a good parent until your kid is older, right? Because you see how they turn out, and then you're like, okay, I did a good job. But I'm like, Belzy's already 10 ladders higher than, in like the best way possible. She is still very much a kid, but still very much in tune with others, which I feel like is hard to get adults to be. I know you mentioned like that's something you really wanted to make sure that she grew up with, but how did you create that environment for her? Like, what were you intentional about doing to make sure that she understood the benefits of being someone that nurtured or cared for others,
I think a lot of it came from what I lacked, and that what I could offer her. As me being her mother, I think also the type of mother that God wanted me to be for her. And then again, the type of love she could experience. Now that I had come to a place of healing, a place of restoration, how can I continue that path for her of setting this firm foundation for her of love and a lot of the trauma that I went through being released, being given to God. It really felt like this newfound experience that I wanted to create for her while still creating openness. I'm very raw and open with her according to her age, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm like, again, I think that this is where the experiences, the education that God has permitted me to have this far was all in divine purpose for the family he wanted me to have, for the professional career he wanted me to have, along with the ministry. Like, it's beautiful to see how God ties it all together with time. I may have not seen that at the time, or be like, why on earth would I have gone through this?
Right.
But I had that full circle moment when I had her. But of course, it even took few years in. I was still when I had her, it opened up a lot of wounds for sure as well that I hadn't even tapped into being a new mother.
Right.
That was a whole other.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you do a lot of your healing prior to, or did it almost seem like another wave of it came?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was an untapped wave that hit me.
Yeah.
Because not only was it difficult transitioning to, me pursuing my career and just getting, tapping into that part of my life, but then completely shifting into motherhood. So not only was it a shift for me, but then it was also a realization of postpartum kicking in too. So, and I had mentioned to you when we went to Starbucks that my mother died by suicide. So there was a lot of depression that came with postpartum. And there was such an attack, I feel, on my mental health, emotionally, physically, that it wouldn't have happened had I not become a mother and experienced it.
Right. Like it almost triggered it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Completely.
Yeah.
So I had to do some counseling, and really diving in deeper with my relationship with God to then start repairing that part of my life that maybe I had completely just shut off or become numb to.
Yep.
As difficult as it was, I'm so thankful because now I'm seeing the fruits of it with my daughter.
Right.
Where I was able to figure some of those things out and allow God in to move in a way that I probably wouldn't have done before.
Yeah. I understand completely what you're saying, because it is one of those things where it's like you feel like you're really getting somewhere in healing process, and then your kid comes to you and you're like, just kidding. Just kidding. New fear unlocked. That's great. Or like
absolutely.
New trauma memory, or new thoughts that I never had before, You mentioned counseling, and I feel like we don't talk about that enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, as Christians, we talk about counseling like for addiction or for these other things, but just like the mental, for years, at least when I was growing up, it was always give it to God and, whatever. And not saying whatever in the sense of like, it's small, because we should give our, worries and anxieties to God. The Bible tells us to. But how do we do that, right?
Right. What does that look like?
And one of the ways we can is through counseling, by releasing, Was there a moment where you felt like, I've got to get counseling that you can like remember?
Yeah, that was that moment. I remember I had become so overcome by my emotions of anxiety, of depression, that they were becoming deeper, darker thoughts. That I was getting myself into a place, was this what my mother was thinking?
Right.
When she took her life.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is my hard stop.
Yeah.
I don't want that to repeat itself.
Right.
I need help.
Yeah.
And not being ashamed.
Right.
To ask for that help. Because I wanted to be I was like, I want to be here for her,
Yeah.
for my family, for my husband. And so that was my decision maker. Mm-hmm.
I think people sometimes think that that person doesn't want to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for many people, it's not that they don't want to, they don't know how,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then they feel hopeless.
Right.
And that's really when that really becomes something that can become overwhelming and take over
Absolutely.
their thought processes, is the feeling of like hopelessness.
Yes.
I'm so glad you got counseling. I tapped into it like in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even really consider it counseling. The person was very slick in how they approached me about it. Mm-hmm. They were like, yeah, let's just meet like weekly. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Mm-hmm. You know, like, yeah, let's get to know each other. I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. And it just became like counseling sessions. And I was like, I see what you did. I see what you did. But I needed it, like,
yes.
so bad. And then in the midst of that, I became pregnant and had a whole child. And I was like, no, I really need it now.
Yeah.
You know, like, no,
right.
I don't know that this is going to end. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it just opens a whole different can of worms where you're just like,
yeah.
And I think some things are, you know, even without the loss of a parent, mm-hmm. I think some of those things are natural, but it almost feels like intensified when you've lost a parent, because you already think differently than most, right? Mm-hmm. You've experienced death so early that, like you said earlier, like it's just a shift that happens.
Yeah.
And you just start thinking differently than most kids your age.
Yeah.
So then, you know, once motherhood comes, you feel like I'm still thinking very differently, you know? Mm-hmm. Did you realize that part of it was postpartum right away, or were you aware right away?
I feel like I was. It was just a difficult time in general when we had our daughter. So I think the circumstances surrounding her birth felt like they were just stacked.
Got it. Yeah.
So it was a bit of a... So yes, it did hit me.
Yeah.
Pretty early.
Yeah.
I want to say right away, just due to what we were going through at the time.
Yeah. And how did Danny handle? I'm just trying to think too. Like,
if you were to ask him that question, he would just say PTSD. Hands down is what he would tell you, and he can absolutely elaborate to it. But I know that he suffered a lot through that journey of what I went through. Yeah. And apart from me being a stay-at-home mom, like, he was also sustaining us financially. So I know he had a big burden to care for our family, and then on top of having to come home to me, being in that capacity and mental state, I know it was a big toll for him. Yeah. So I'm thankful for his tenderness and his support for me during that time, because it absolutely made a big difference for me. His patience of me going through it, figuring things out. I know there was probably times where he says it's the reason his hair is so thin now.
He's so silly.
And forgive me for saying that, babe. But yes, I don't want to undersay, you know, what he experienced. I know it was a difficult time for him too.
It's important who you marry, right?
Oh,
like, it's it makes a difference through the hard times and you know, like through sickness and in health. Yes. Like, it really does make a difference, that support. Were you able to be honest at that time about what you were going through? Like, did you feel like you could be open with him specifically?
Yes. I don't think there was ever a point in our relationship early on, before I had given my life to Christ. Mm-hmm. It was very difficult for me to open up, I want to say, at all. Mm-hmm. I think I had turned my heart into a rock at that point. Mm-hmm. And Danny has an upbringing where he grew up in the church, and I think that's where we were able to find some connection. That it took me some time to break through, but again, his character, the qualities that he possessed, helped me to start unraveling, in a sense. He would argue it was also a very difficult time trying to get information out of me. But again, there was just so much shielding that I had done to protect myself.
Yeah.
It took time, of course, and he was understanding, which I very, very much appreciate. So a lot of the qualities that he had demonstrated to me were also things that I deeply valued, and I took into consideration of, wow, this might be someone I want to date and down the line maybe marry. Even though in high school my mentality was absolutely not. I'm not ready for this. What?
Right.
So I have the rest of my life ahead of me.
Yeah.
But
so he was like that even as a friend.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Wow.
He was a wonderful companion, and that's how it even all started. It all was on a basis of friendship. And then it grew into something much more to that.
Yeah.
And then as we began dating, he was even very early on. His level of commitment to me, I was able to see it. And a few months in, he had already, what's the word I'm trying to say? He had given me an ultimatum. Yes.
Daniel.
Yes. His ultimatum was, that if I'm dating you,
right,
my goal and my purpose is to make you my wife. So if that's not yours, then just let me know now. But to a young girl in high school who was like,
you're like,
what? Settle down.
Yeah, you're like, wait, first off, calm down.
Right. And then I had to take a back seat, and in the midst of the call, I'm like going through my mind, okay, maybe he's worth it.
Right.
So I was still doing it off chance that it works. I was like, well, he's done this, and this, and all these great things. Okay, fine. I'm going to just go for it. So I was like, yes, okay, let's do this.
That is so funny.
And with time, we both were baptized on the same day at AWC, like before
it was AWC there.
Yeah.
How funny.
Yes. The relationship that we had established, and I think his values and his, what he had endured, his walk with God as well, really helped shape our relationship and created this safe space for me to open up. Of course, it took me time, but he was providing the space and the environment for me.
Which I think going through a trauma like that, and my mom passed differently, but passing nonetheless, still a trauma of it all. Having that safe space is so important. I don't think people realize like how important it is, because you tend to not even see yourself as a safe space. So like you mentioned, like when you have a hard heart or when you're closed off, like you're closed off to even yourself.
Absolutely.
Like you don't feel for like your own sake, so when you're talking about things, you're finding out for the first time yourself, when you're opening up, you're like, I didn't realize I felt like that.
So for years I've been
But people don't realize that sometimes, where it's like that safe space is incredibly important. And kudos to him for making it known ahead of time, like, this is my goal. Because I think that immediately kind of sets a platform for, this is what I'm offering. You don't have to question.
Right.
And if you're already kind of questioning things within yourself, to not have to question someone else in that way is so nice and probably so reassuring. Once you actually accept it, and it takes, like you said, it takes a second.
Yes.
When you think of Belzy, when it comes to her future and such, are those qualities you want for her to find in someone?
I think she's already finding it.
Yeah.
I feel like she's
very
so
observant.
wise beyond her years, and like you said, very observant, very in tune. And what I love is that she's so in tune with herself. And I'm happy that we can provide that space for her. And then again, that's where I'm thankful that God took me through the path of communication with my education, because I've seen it just unravel in a beautiful way in all areas of my life. And then now with Belzy, that me and her can have that dialogue, that open space that I didn't feel I have. Or more than anything, I think maybe it was more my father not knowing
right.
how to provide that space just due to his own upbringing. So I'm happy that we can have that relationship even at the age of 7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It is. She will treasure it. She really will. And as she grows up, I think she'll realize how rare it is, you know. And I pray more. I pray it's not rare. But just the reality is, it is rare. To just have that open dialogue and that vulnerability within your family. Danny is really open too.
Yeah.
You know, like he's open to everybody. Like he's,
yes.
You know, which still is also very rare. And so again, you guys have just been literally cultivating an environment for her to be able to be vulnerable herself, but she also is learning discernment. You know, like
she tells us our
she's
when we're falling through the cracks, and we're like she'll let us in the most polite way as well. Where I'm like, oh, right. Like, I can't even...
No, I have to accept it.
Yeah. I'm like, you are absolutely right. I said I was going to update the fridge calendar 3 days ago, and I haven't done it yet. You are totally right, Kelsey. Yeah.
Have you considered how you would go about nurturing that part of her? Have you considered, as she grows up, how you would nurture that? And obviously you're in the middle of it, but has that been something you've considered?
I think that's a walk that we do every single day. As we even consider, hey, is there a certain activity that we should look into? Not only do we consider the activity, but do we think it's going to be a good fit for her personality type? Or is there a certain area of her life that maybe we can maybe expose her to that could possibly strengthen her in that specific area? It's also a lot of trial and error, in a sense where I want to provide her with the opportunities, have her go through it, experience it, and see if it's a good fit for her. So it's also this phase of exploration. But I feel like and as she continues to grow, we're able to kind of they're able to provide us feedback, like like this was great. And even now, you know, with her being in martial arts, there's of course times where she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. But then there's other days where she loves it. And so through that, we're also showing her commitment. So we'll take it also as other ways that we can show her other values in the midst of it.
That is so funny. Her in martial arts is just... I get a kick out of it every time I think about it. Yeah, so even with my child, she's been stern, and I'm like, you go, Belzy. Tell her, you know?
But that took building, you know, because she is very... she's very kind, and there were instances where bully came into play, and we didn't want that for her. So that's where, again, reevaluating things. Okay, what do we need to incorporate into her life to just give her that knowledge and that know-how, and then she can take it and apply it as she needs it. But we're going to equip her and give her the tools that she needs.
So the main thing is equipping them. Yeah, I think it, like you said, I think it is almost like a trial and error thing, you know.
And then also, too, based on our own upbringings, did we see that this was beneficial? Did it impact us negatively? And then just blending those into her personality type and just trying to shift how she navigates life.
Has she, just because she's so insightful, I feel like she's very curious.
Oh yeah.
You know, she reminds me of me in that way, where she just understands a lot at a very young age. And my dad was kind of the same way. Like, I could ask 1,000 questions, and he would just sit there and answer them. That was just such a fond memory for him of just allowing me and cultivating, like, my curiosity.
Yes.
And so I think that'll be something that she really appreciates as she gets older, is just being able to be open and ask questions, and you guys give her the most honest but respectable for her age response, you know? Yes. And as they get older, they learn more, and you provide them with more context and, you know, more whatever. But her not feeling like she's being hid from anything,
Right.
especially with her personality, is going to be so beneficial for her. Because she's one of those people that would know too. Like if you weren't, like she just knows.
She can, yeah, she'll read.
Yes.
Body language as well, and
yeah,
I also love that she can just go up to anyone and just connect with someone.
Yes. Yeah, she does. She sure does.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. She has a very good go between you and Danny of the extrovertedness, but also the introvertedness of just, she's okay being by herself, but she also does really good with other people. Like
yeah.
She really does. She does really good in both environments. She's very content.
Yes.
And that's such a good quality for her. And for kids in general, I feel like, again, that's something that's rare. So you mentioned that your mother passed away when you were 11. Is there anything that you would tell your 11-year-old self now that you have more context into this world, who you are, where your life would lead?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would say to her?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I would say that as much as this hurts right now.
Right.
God's got a greater plan in all of it. And He's going to take care of you. Trust Him. But that it's going to be an invaluable moment in your life that will shape you and then will help others, as painful as it might be right now.
Right.
There's another divine purpose behind all of it. Just trust me in this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is definitely hard to realize at that time.
Oh, yeah.
You do not see it that way.
Yes.
You're just like, this doesn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. At that time, I knew of God, but I didn't know Him.
Right.
So to tell that to my 11-year-old self would be like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
All I feel right now is anger towards.
Right.
You, God.
Yeah. And I think that's so real, and I think we forget that scripture where He tells us to be angry, just sin not, I think it's hard not to sin when you're angry, but it's possible. But that is part of grief, and sometimes I think we want to skip over that part with God. Like, we don't want to admit we're angry with Him, or we don't want to admit we're angry with our parent, or with, you know what I'm saying? Like, just in general, mad we didn't create more memories, or but how would we know as a kid? You just kind of go through all those things, and mad at the unknown, mad at just so many different things, and a lot of times the biggest one we're mad at is God, and then people tell us to trust Him, and you're like, I don't even like Him. Like, I don't even like Him right now. I don't understand why this had to happen. I don't understand why.
There's a lot of why would He allow this?
Why would He allow it
to happen? Why would He allow me to go through this?
Right. Doesn't He care enough? Like, and yeah, you're right. As you get older, you understand it's so much more than I could have, thought of. But it also is a choice to go down that path. It could also be a choice to go a different way, turn to drugs or alcohol, or, realize, but we also realize too that there's no answer in those things, like, yeah, it's an option, but everyone I know is kind of stuck in that one because it's not healing anything.
Yeah, for me it was, there's no true fulfillment.
Right.
In all of those other outlets that I was going to.
Right. Yeah. And you almost know it, like, in the back of your mind, like, But just that numbing. You mentioned the numbing earlier, and that's something I have struggled with for years. I think I'm not numbing, and then like 3 months later, I'm like, no, I was numbing that whole time. Is that something you still struggle with, or is that something that you've been able to identify, kind of like when you can feel yourself starting to, or when because I can almost feel myself starting to, but there's times where I don't know how to avoid it.
For me in the journey, coming from that place of full numbness in every way, shape, or form, it took years for me to embrace emotion, embrace feelings, embracing moments. So I don't see myself now being on this other end. I don't even know the sense of the word numb.
Wow.
God has put me in a place where I'm I don't want to say I'm overly emotional, but I now am. Yes, I feel everything.
Wow.
I can absolutely capture, depending on the circumstances, situations that I'm in. I'm like, oh, I can identify that this situation is making me feel this.
Wow.
This certain area of my life is starting to bring in these type of feelings. So I think he helped me capture any areas where I might have still had any areas that I needed to work on that were causing me to feel a numbness where I wouldn't react. I think he's healed that place for me, and now I'm in a space where I feel everything and anything. I feel like I'm this very emotional, even though you may not see it, speaking with me. But I think someone who would have met me prior to that restoration probably wouldn't recognize. They'd be like, you were someone who was completely shut someone out, completely not accept people's love. But that was evident of the trauma and the work that I still needed to do in myself. And I hope now that people can experience God's transformative love through the communications we share, the conversations that we have with other people. But I'm thankful for the place that I am now, from feeling completely numb to now feeling everything and all things are identifiable.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. Sounds amazing and terrifying all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes. It comes with balance, of course.
Yes.
Of course, I'm not going to allow myself to feel too much into something.
Right.
But at least I can identify it. Right. And then I'm still going to keep a balanced
It's still
life.
Under control.
Yeah. It's all under control.
Yeah.
I'm allowing myself to experience.
Right. I think that's what numbness can look like, is control, but it's not control. You're just not feeling anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm not controlling really anything. I'm not feeling anything. Right. I don't have anything to control. And it can look like you're under control, like, wow, you've really got it all together. And it's like, no, I just don't feel anything.
Right.
No empathy, no anything. Even though you want to, you're just like, I'll be there for you in the physical realm, but I can't connect emotionally.
Right. And if you would ask me which side of the spectrum would you take, none to where you are now, I would in a heartbeat say what I'm experiencing now emotionally. I would rather much feel someone's warmth and compassion and empathy, along with all the other feelings that come. I'm like you said, the word does tell us, just lay everything before him. We're going to experience a wide range of emotions with all that life is going to come at us with. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be open with our God, who can create that safe space. And of course, it takes time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I've been reading Matthew and Mark, and there's a part where Lazarus dies, and his sister's like, had you been here, he wouldn't have died, and God doesn't scold her. Like, she's angry, she's grieving, and he understands that. And he's like, he's not, he's sleeping. And she like still didn't understand. She's like, what are you talking about? No, he's literally like wrapped up. What are you talking about? He's in a grave, like,
Yeah.
But I have to, when reading that, I was like, man, like even in those moments when we are grieving or when we're angry with you or you don't condemn us, like you just embrace us, like, and that can be hard to accept, especially when you've lacked that nurturing.
Yeah.
It's hard to accept that nurturing. And then hard to be that way with other people. Sometimes it's easier to be that way with other people than it is for you to accept it. And for me, it was hard to accept because I didn't know when it was going to leave again. You know what I'm saying? So like, I didn't want to get close to people because I don't know if you're going to be here long term.
That's the exact same thing. I'm like, I'm not going to open up myself to love because
I
don't know. I don't want to go through that hardship again of letting someone in.
Yeah.
And then be heartbroken.
Right. Yeah.
I'd rather just shut people out
It's
completely.
easier. Yeah. Feelings are much harder to deal with. But like you said, there's more reward in it.
Yes.
Now it's like I can empathize with people and then I feel like my emotions are all over the place and I'm just like, what is this? This is new territory. I'm crying so much. Like in the last 3 years, I'm like, I've cried more in the last 3 years than I have in 20 years. I don't know what to do. And then I feel like I'm out of control. But
I think it's the perception of how you're perceiving it.
Right. Yeah. It's not out of control.
No.
It's just emotion.
Yes. And you can be present in that moment.
That's amazing that you've gotten to that place. I think he's working and molding me in that direction. And that is healing for me. Would you say that was the biggest healing that you've gone through is feeling and regulating emotions?
That I would say that would be one piece that has been one of the biggest blessings. Just allowing myself to feel has really been a wonderful journey, and now something that I can pass along to my daughter, letting her know that it's okay. That it's okay for you to endure that any type of emotion that a particular situation is making you feel, it's okay. Now, where do we go from here? Like you mentioned, like where you're numbed and you just go automatically into pilot mode. It's about figuring out, okay, where do we go from here? Maybe what's causing this and how can we move forward? I think is something that that I've treasured in my relationship with God, and that I want my daughter to also go through. So that's been an entire blessing. And then just knowing God in general. There's been a freedom, not only in my emotions, but in a freedom in my relationship with him, a freedom in how I praise, a freedom in how I worship, a freedom in how I connect with others. So that what I thought was just one area has now just overflowed and overpoured into every other area into my life.
Wow. He does all things well, right?
Yeah.
Even when we don't understand. So I do these ending segments, and one of them that I do is This I Know. And so I'll go to show you. I don't know much, but this I know that like we said, God does all things well, and the things that we go through, especially when we're younger, that shape us and mold us, if we're leaning on God, will always be for our benefit. I don't know much, but this I know.
But this I know, that he is faithful, and if he promised it, it will be so. And even if I don't get a chance to see it, even if it's a promise that I'm waiting on and he decides not to, he is in control. He is still faithful. He is still good. And I can always rely on him.
Right. And he's working all things out for the benefit of those who love him.
Yes.
Yeah, that is that's what I have to remember daily. Okay, yes. So then this other one is fun. Mm-hmm. Not heavy at all. And it's this or that. So I'm going to give you two options and you pick the one that you like best. So, kind of talked about this a little bit, but big city or small town?
Small town.
Small town. Mm-hmm. I think I like it more too, to be honest. As much as I'm outgoing, I really like the quiet. I like my time alone, and small town just gives me cozy vibes.
Absolutely. You know? For this period of my life.
Yeah.
I need small that. Town. And if I need to tap into a city, I can. Yeah. Let me drive back home.
Yeah.
To my little country home.
Yep. Get away for a little bit. I think like 30 minutes out is like
it's a good perfect. Drive. It's good enough for me.
Yeah. I agree. Disney or Pixar?
Recently Disney.
Okay. Pixar had some good stuff back in the day.
Had some good stuff early. Yeah. Yes.
I think they're now owned by Disney, so it's kind of the same thing. But
right.
You know, I think like Cars, and I'm like, that's so good.
It's such a good movie.
But okay, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What do you put in yours? Do you do it black or do you?
I have to have some cream.
Yeah, I think people who do black are crazy.
I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it.
I've tried. Nope. I need some sweetness.
What's your favorite creamer?
I just do. It could be a variety. I like Italian sweet cream. I like white chocolate mocha, or I just like extra creamy. Just something smooth.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It makes a big difference. Do you froth?
If I could. If I had a frothing machine, but no, I don't. I don't froth. I should.
We gotta get you a frother.
Yes.
It's like a coffee shop at home. You don't do anything else to the creamer. You just froth it, and it's like latte life. Like, Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah.
Gotta experience
it. I have people that come over just for my coffee because of it. I don't do anything special. I just froth the milk. That's it. I don't do anything else.
I don't even know what just frothing the milk means.
It makes it foamy and smooth.
Steaming it? Okay.
It just makes it foamy and smooth. And it like makes the coffee more airy. I don't know. Yeah, it's delightful.
I'll come over just for a froth.
I'm gonna have to make it. Sunrise or sunset? Yeah, that's hard.
That's a tough one. Because I love to sleep into the morning hours when I can. Sunset. Because I'm probably awake for it.
She's like, I'll actually see it.
Yes, sunset.
That's funny. You, depending on the day, you just get some beautiful colors.
Like, I love seeing the sunrise on my way to work. Absolutely. I don't take anything away from it.
Yeah.
But in terms of me capturing the most
appreciate
sunsets,
it. Yeah, that's fair. Brownies or cookies?
Brownies.
Are you a sweet tooth?
Hands down.
Yeah?
Yes.
Fudgy brownies?
Yes.
Do you like a middle piece or an edge?
I like a middle piece. Yes. Okay. Like Belzy, if she were here now, she would probably scream from the back, like, Mom loves brownies. She loves her chocolate ice cream from Culver's with brownie pieces. They once asked me, hey, we don't have brownies. Would you take chocolate cake? I said, absolutely not.
No, I'm leaving, actually.
It's not the same. Thank you, though.
Right.
I'll come back.
Because we're polite.
I'll come back with different.
No.
Yes. Thank you, though. I appreciate you asking. So brownies. Hands down.
Yeah. Gathi has been obsessed with chocolate like this last 3 weeks. And honestly, I blame her auntie. She gave her chocolate chips one day, and she's asked for them every day since. Oh my gosh. So she's had some every day since. Yeah. You kind of answered this one, but staying up late or waking up early?
Staying up late.
Yeah.
If I have to, I will. And Danny would say the same. Like, if I could sleep in, but I won't go like past noon. I can't do too much sleeping in.
I try so hard.
If I can, I will.
I try so hard. I'm up by like 7.
Oh, You're a morning person?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. That's the dilemma I'm going through. I stay up late and I'm up by 7.
I'm a night owl. Like, I can stay up.
Angel's a night owl. Angel, like, for real. So if you ever need to text her, she's up. Trust me, she's up.
Okay.
Yeah. She's definitely a night owl. I used to be more of a night owl, but since having my child, I don't know what happened. I'm like, I need sleep.
Yeah.
But even still, we're up till like, I mean, she's up till like 11, 12. Like, she's up. But it kind of works out for me because then she sleeps till 10. And so then I get the morning, you know? So it's kind of nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Tacos or empanadas?
I'll say tacos. Because it depends on the empanadas.
True. Very true.
Like, I love both. But it
definitely depends. You have a better chance of getting a good taco.
Yes.
Yeah. Jocelyn's tacos are top notch. Her salsa is top notch. Get talked about in this house weekly. So, and I think you bought them when I had Gati.
You had her.
Yeah.
So it was like right after.
Yeah. Talked about them for days after, for sure. I was like, I don't know. She should open a restaurant just off of the tacos. That's it. I actually would choose empanadas, but the only reason I would choose empanadas is because Puerto Ricans call them patelillos. Mm-hmm. But it's been my favorite food of my grandma's since I was since I can remember. Yeah. And I just love them. I don't know why.
There's that connection for you. And they were probably delicious.
So good.
But that, like I said, it depends on...
Yeah, that's
because I've tasted some delicious empanadas.
Some make them sweet.
They're sweet empanadas.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I've made some sweet.
What do you put in it?
So we call it dulce de leche. It's called. It's like a sweet brown melted sugar.
Inside.
I'll make some.
That sounds delicious.
And the coating is like a sugar cookie almost feel. It's like a melt in your mouth.
Oh my god.
Type of texture.
That sounds delicious. I would probably enjoy that too.
Cajeta's what the formal
Say it
word
again?
for that. Cajeta. That's what the inside filling is called.
That sounds good. Fancy restaurant or food truck?
Food truck.
Something about them.
I am very much into comfort food.
Yeah. Fancy restaurants make me angry.
I've tried it.
Yeah.
But I'm like...
For that price? No.
So definitely food truck.
And then I have to be on my best behavior? And eat with silverware like a civilized human? That's a lot.
Yes. There's been moments where I've spent the money and then have left still feeling so hungry. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I just paid so much.
If I went to a food truck, this would have been 3 meals.
And I would have been so satisfied.
Every time.
Had some extra.
For real.
So I've learned time and time again. Nope, I'm just going that route.
That's fair. Last one. Snow or sand?
Sand.
Yeah, I think if you pick snow, I'm questioning your sanity. My sister would pick snow, but I question her sanity daily. So, yeah, snow for me is... I'd be okay not seeing it again.
I like both activities, but preference...
I was going to say, yeah, me too, but...
We've gone sledding, and it's so hilarious, seeing us all... going tubing, rolling over, falling.
You're definitely laughing far more in snow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
so fun.
That's true.
But, out of comfort.
Yeah. Relaxing.
Snow boots, all this, heavy. I'm like, no. The soothing peace of a beach and sand.
Yeah.
Calls to me.
Yeah, I love a good beach moment. I love it. I'll sit out there all day and bake. It's probably not healthy, but...
And I love Wisconsin summers. So, I soak in all the
Today was so nice. I'm like, bring it on. Yeah, I love it. Okay, last one.
Yes.
Last one we do is 3 things we're grateful for. Um, so I will say the first one, we'll go back and forth. I would say the first one for me is you have been such a help to my I was just talking to someone today about it. You have been such a help to my dad. It has really, even though he still seems stressed all the time, it has really been, you have really alleviated in so many ways. You probably have no idea. Um, just his mental capacity to be able to even just be here with us has improved tremendously. Um, and that's because he's not doing 800 things. And so I'm very grateful for you using your talents that God has given you to, one, handle him, but to two, just walk in that so gracefully. It really has even just helped literally our family dynamic, just because we're able to see him more. And that's something that we missed for a while. So I'm very, very grateful for you coming and stepping into that role so gracefully.
And I treasure that. Thank you.
Of course,
That's
of course.
very kind of you to say. And that's something that I'll piggyback off of is I deeply, deeply also treasure your family as well as the AWC family, and then also for Pastor, because since joining this wonderful group of people, this family, it's been also such a healing space for me. Everyone has been so lovely, so welcoming, but I also, what I've taken away most out of this is the freedom of worship that I never got to experience prior to coming. And I used to be in a ministry team. I used to sing. So I had this perception that, oh yes, I know what it means to have liberty and praise and worship. Absolutely not at all what.
I can second that like none other.
Yes.
It's so true and does not get talked about. You can be a worship leader and outside of the pulpit, worship leading, you have no idea how to worship. Like, truly, when my dad made me step down, I always say that was the best thing he could have done for me. I had no idea how to worship outside of being part of the worship team. That is such a true and honest statement. Like,
Yes.
lost and confused. How do I worship you again? I don't know.
Yes.
I know how to do it. Not on stage because I'm performing. No, I really was worshiping you.
Yeah, I was doing it in a genuine way.
Right. This just feels way more intimate and I don't know how to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. Completely. I am so grateful for Belzy. I'm like, how do I look up to a 7-year-old? No, she is so sweet. And really, even though I'm running around with my head chopped off on Sundays, she is willing to just help, in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever heard her complain. And she lets me know what I need to know. And so I feel...
She'll say it
yes.
how it is, but in the...
Respectful. She's so respectful. And so I am so grateful for her. And I'm like, man, not in like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not in like a, putting pressure on her, anything like that. But she is just like, she is someone that I'm just like, I want my daughter to be like that. She really is already such a poised person. And so I am just so grateful. I'm hopeful. She brings me hope that I can manage to get, I don't know, we'll see. But just that, your story has brought me hope in knowing that I can also raise a daughter of good character too. So I'm just so grateful for her physical being of hope for me. She is really a physical hope for me. So I'm very grateful for her.
Oh, thank you. And it's a testament of God's work. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. And it goes to say that that's one piece that I'm grateful for. The journey that God has allowed me to endure, the connections and the people He's allowed me to be a part of. And I'm grateful for this journey because I felt like I was able to share my experience with you, you know, and in that sense, the journey that we go through is to come from a place of healing where we can have these discussions to hopefully bring others to their own journey of healing. It's not anything that's forced. It's just this openness, this genuine conversation of connection. So that's what primarily urged me to reach out to you, you know, when you became a new mom, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I know what I went through. I just want you to know I'm here. Even if it's just to listen, you have someone, and I'm thankful for that, for that journey, and that I can offer that for others.
He is good in that way, and making that, and I'm thankful that you reached out, because it can feel very lonely, even though I know my sister has gone through it as well, but she's also going through it, you know. And so I am very grateful that you reached out, because it did feel exactly that way, where it was like, okay, all right, I think I can do this, you know.
Yes.
You don't know at first, like, you're like, I have so many questions that I cannot ask.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, and just being able to have that support system, that buddy system.
Yeah.
And I even have shared this openly, and this might even tap into one of the other reasons that I'm so grateful for AWC is that I felt like through the years, the presence of women in my life wasn't as strong. I had always had these wonderful connections, but in terms of a support system of these group of women that bring so much wisdom and experience, that has brought so much fruitfulness into my life, was something that really came to life and flourished when I came to AWC. So it was really beautiful for me to get to know each and every one of you, and to have you as someone that I knew I could always reach out to if I ever had any questions or needed help, to have that support system.
For sure. Yeah. It is definitely a village, right? It definitely takes a village in all aspects of life. And so it's been so fun talking to you tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I appreciate you coming over and spending time. I always think about the future, you know, and I'm like, it'll just be so nice to have our daughters listen to it. And I always am thinking about that. But I know that this will help many people, whether they lost a parent or have struggled with depression or anxiety or postpartum. I think anytime that we're able to share a testimony, it's helping someone else overcome and make their testimony, you know. So I definitely appreciate your vulnerability tonight, and so grateful. And I'm just
thank you for having
I'm excited.
me.
Yeah, of
course. Thank you for creating this open space, this open dialogue where we can come and share our stories, and where there aren't any hindrances, where you do bring this warmth and welcome. So thank you for this beautiful space that you're creating here.
Of course,
too.
it is. It's a God thing. Trust me, it is a God thing. But anyways, guys, we will see you next time. I hope you enjoyed, and stay safe. Bye.